Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Carrie. I am a homeschooling mom to 4 kiddos and this is our 4th year homeschooling currently. In this video today, I am going to be sharing a flip through and a review of this curriculum, which is 100 Gentle Lessons in Sight and Sound, written by a Gentle Feast. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this video is I'm first going to show inside the curriculum so you can see what the lessons look like. I can get a better idea of what's inside, and then I'll share what our experience and our thoughts are having used it. But like I said earlier, this is a reading curriculum. It is based on Charlotte Mason's methods, and my copy is a couple years old, but as far as I know, no significant changes have been made in that time. And before I begin, just so you know, the recommended age for level 1, which is this one, is age 6. And then your child should know their letters and letter sounds. They should be able to read basic CVC words and also tell if words can rhyme. So let's turn the camera on and you can get a look inside this. So once again, this is 100 Gentle Lessons in Sight and Sound. This is level 1 by a Gentle Feast, beginning reading lessons based on the Charlotte Mason method. And I'm actually going to go ahead and skip the table of contents. I'll come back in just a second. And I want to first start with the principal methods used. So you'll see that there are 5 of them here, and under each one is a quote from Charlotte Mason's book, Home Education, just in her own words. And number 1 is basically just saying that this curriculum focuses on teaching words as a whole or by sight. So the words that the child learns are all from nursery rhymes, and they learn a whole rhyme before moving on to another. And these lessons you'll see are usually labeled with the word sight in the table of contents. So number 2 is where some phonics come into play by making other words that are similar to the ones being learned in the nursery rhyme, and these are usually referred to as sound lessons. Number 3 is basically just saying that they will take the words learned in the nursery rhyme and make new sentences with them or little stories with them, and those lessons are usually called reading. Number 4 is where the student just practices putting the words from the rhyme they learned back in order, and those lessons are usually referred to as sequencing. And number 5 is just copy work or practicing the words in sand and stuff. So those are usually labeled as copy work. So now let's go back to the table of contents so you can see how they're laid out. You'll see a lot of sight, sound, reading, and sequencing. Again, sight, sound, sequencing, reading, and they're just all listed out here. The different nursery rhymes that we'll be learning are like Little Jack Horner, they have Little Bo Peep, Pussycat, This Little Pig. Ones like Humpty Dumpty, Rooster Rooster, Jack and Jill, Baa Baa Black Sheep. You spend about usually 3 to 7 lessons on each rhyme before moving on to the next one, and you do more rhymes during the second half of the curriculum. So now let's talk about what supplies come with the curriculum and which ones are needed. So the supplies needed, number 1, number 3, and number 6 are all things that the curriculum comes with. The others are things that you should have on hand at home. So number 1 are copies of the letter tiles, which just look like these. Just individual letters on individual tiles. The number 3, copies of the sight word flashcards. It just comes like this on a piece of cardstock, and then you just cut them out and you have the flashcards for that lesson ready to go. And then the last thing that it comes with is the word building mat, which looks like this, and you just put the letters on the little tiles, and then if you have a little toy car, you can use it to slide it across to help read, or you could just use your finger if you want. But those are the basic supplies. The other things are scissors and glue sticks, a chalkboard with chalk, a little sand tray or something similar, and then dice and game pieces if you would like to use that as well. So now let's get into the actual lessons. So the first 10 lessons are available for free on a Gentle Feast website to try out, which is what we did and why the first several lessons in this book are not marked. So here we have a lesson in sight, a lesson in sound, a lesson in reading, and sequencing. So for example, the sight lesson will have things with helping recognize the words. So read the rhyme to your child, pointing to each word. Show your child the flashcards for this lesson. Have your child point to the words in the rhyme as you read the flashcards, then have her make the words in her tray of sand. And the last one is point out how can is turned into can't and what that means. For the lesson of sound, it says read the rhyme from the last lesson to your child, pointing to each word. Say the sight words and have your child find them in the rhyme. Make the words below out of tiles on the word building mat. And to say each word, start with a toy car on the green circle. Move the car to the red square, saying each sound. Move your car faster and faster until the word is said easily. And then you have reading. So you're just going to review the flashcards for this lesson and then see if your child can read the following sentences. And then here you cut out these pieces here. The back is left blank. And you just glue the poem back together in the correct order and then read the poem after that. And then it just moves on to the next rhyme, which is Little Jack Horner. So like I said, some of them, that one was 4 lessons to learn that rhyme. They vary in length. Let's see if I can go to one that's a little bit longer. So here is Little Bo Peep, which starts in lesson 27. Again, you have a lesson in sight, a lesson in sound, another lesson in sound. Then you have reading, which is where the words are just mixed up. And then you have another lesson in sound. Oh, and then there's also some little phonics work, and then this, which is already done by my son. The pieces have been cut out and pasted on here. And then you have some reading and copy work as well. And remember that, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but some of the words from the other lessons are put back in the later lessons. And so when they are reading, so like Bow Wow, so the little dog, which is not actually part of the Little Bo Peep poem or Little Bo Peep rhyme. So those are from other nursery rhymes that I put back in, and then we have some copy work. And then it moves on to the next one. So you can see those lessons in sight and sound and reading and sequencing throughout the whole curriculum. There's not a lot of color, except for these pages, which is kind of funny. I think my kids were most excited about this page, and then it didn't end up having anything to do with the lessons. They're very simple. And then at the very end of the book, you have a page where they can mark the different rhymes that they know, and then also some little games, extra games to play with if you would like to do that. But that is it. And so now I'm going to turn the camera back around to talk about our experience using this curriculum. Okay, so now that we've seen the inside of the curriculum, let's talk about our experience using it. So I feel like the child that you use the curriculum with makes a big difference in whether it works or doesn't work. So I want to give you a little bit of information about the child that I use this with. So we used it for my oldest son, who is now 8 years old and in 3rd grade. Now he loves to read, and he is a really strong reader. But at the time when we were picking this, he was 6 years old, going into 1st grade, and he had zero desire to learn how to read. He's a reluctant reader. He loved books. He loved listening to audiobooks, listening to me read to him, looking through books. But when it came to actually putting forth the effort to read, he had zero desire. And so that's just his personality, and that's something that we've had to work with on him with a whole bunch, like in every other thing. And I feel like I could talk a long time about reluctant readers and how to approach them. But this curriculum was gentle and hands-on, and so that was what we were looking for, because that was what we felt would be the best approach for him. So, I mean, overall this didn't really work for him, but these were the reasons why we chose this curriculum in the first place. So the pros of this curriculum are, first, that the rhymes themselves are very cute, very fun, things that my kids had heard of before. Not all of them, some of them were new as well, but they're just really cute. Let me grab my notes. Another pro was that I just liked the flashcards and the different hands-on activities that came with it. Another pro was that the lessons would build upon each other, so that the words that were used within the first lessons were carried out throughout the rest of the lessons, and the reading activities included words that they had used in other lessons as well, which I feel like a lot of reading curriculum do that. And then I like that the vowels within the workbook and on the little tiles themselves were in different colors, which I know a lot of other curriculum do as well. So some of the cons. The biggest con was, there's three of them, I guess. I'll put them into three different categories. The first con was that just took a really long time to memorize the words. So the nursery rhyme, you give it a nursery rhyme and you work on that for, several lessons, and things just weren't sticking. They weren't clicking. He was using a lot of guessing. The activities were getting boring because we were repeating them over and over again. And so that leads me into the second con, which was just I had to add in my own games and research other Charlotte Mason methods to pull in. So I really appreciate when a curriculum gives you extras and things that you can add in if you have a struggling reader. For this curriculum, I felt like it didn't give us enough where I was having to go out and pull things in. So we were playing different games and adding in our own things. And that was fun, but it just was hard. And I still feel like we were still needing something else. And then the third con was with the phonics. I felt like the phonics were very detached from the rest of the lessons. And I know that you would choose a phonics that was within the rhyme itself and then kind of build words that were similar to it, but it just didn't feel like it flowed very well. And then there just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough phonics. And maybe Charlotte Mason herself in her reading lessons included more phonics, but there just wasn't very much in these lessons. So after about several months of using the curriculum, we ended up supplementing with other things, and still using it, but just like trying to add in other things. And then we ended up ditching it before the end of the year and adding in the Good and the Beautiful's level 1, which didn't work that great either. It worked better than this, but not that great. The program that we used that was the most helpful was actually our spelling curriculum. It's called Words Their Way. And this helped his reading because it was him looking for patterns within words and then grouping them together based on their similarities. And they're very phonetic based in the way that they do it. So that was the most helpful. But since then, I feel like the thing that's worked the best is the Orton-Gillingham approach, which the two curriculum that I know of that are the most popular that use it are All About Reading and Logic of English. So those are the two that I know that use the Orton-Gillingham approach. I'm sure there's more. And so we've had a lot of success in using those, which I know the Orton-Gillingham approach wasn't discovered until after Charlotte Mason's death. So maybe she would have really liked that as well, because there's a lot of organization to the way that it is taught, that reading is taught, and it's really fascinating. So ultimately, I am do what works best with your child, and hopefully this curriculum flip through gave you a better idea of whether or not this would be a good fit for you and your child. So that is all I have for today, and I hope that this was helpful. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.